Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mind Over Madness. My name is Danielle, and on this podcast, I kind of analyze the mental health and the past of fictional characters. This season, we are focusing on villains, which everyone loves. Um, so last week, just as a recap, we talked about a villain who had some issues with trauma, not being accepted by others. Um, their home life was a wreck. They didn't feel love. They kind of felt the opposite of what they felt like as a child. And then as an adulthood, they kind of was continuing with that same method of being bullied and not feeling wanted by others, leading them into a form of chaos where they had power over how they felt about themselves. And so, permanent mark that they had was a smile with makeup. Um, I'm sure you all have put in your guesses. So the reveal of this villain was the Joker. As you guys know, the Joker did have some past history. His mom was actually in a asylum. asylum. She also had mental health issues, and therefore he had to be with. I think he was adopted, and the dad, well, no, the boyfriend of the mom that adopted him was very abusive towards him. So he had to deal with all of that, in addition to not really feeling wanted by his mom. That was probably due to her mental illness. But then that led into him not feeling accepted as he got older. And he was wanting to be a comedian. And if you guys remember in some of them, I know the most recent movie was The Joker. He was on live TV because he was getting into that comedian thing and he started hallucinating. And pretty sure he was set up, but that's when he ended up killing the guy on camera, which led into him being committed to psych ward. So remember I said one of his things was psychotic episodes, and that was kind of how he just like broke down. And then after he got committed to the psych ward, everything just went crazy after that. And that's kind of when things went from a full turn and pretty much that I'm gonna take control of my life. And though it wasn't down a good path, it was down the path that he wanted so that he felt like he had control. So yes, congratulations to everyone that did guess right. So today we will be moving on to another villain. Um, pre-warning, I will say this villain is kind of similar to the Joker. So we're gonna see if you all get this one as well. So it's gonna be the same concept. I'm gonna give you all clues, and then I'm going to give a little of the mental health that they experience and that they may currently be experiencing, and then you all will make your guesses, and you'll have to wait till next week to find out who that villain is. So let's get started with Mind Over Madness, guess who style. So, clue number one. I was born into royalty, but from the start, I was overshadowed. No matter what I did, I was never the favorite. My older sibling got all the attention, the power, the admiration, while I was left in the background. And when it comes to siblings, I feel like everyone kind of plays this role when it comes to siblings. Either you're the middle child, because we all know the middle child gets the least amount of attention for some reason. So the middle child will probably feel like this. Clue number two. I wasn't weak. I was smart, cunning, but in my world, strength mattered more than intelligence. I tried to prove myself, but no one saw my potential. Mm, that is definitely a good one, and I'm sure some people can relate to that. It may not be specifically the strength and the intelligence, but you may not be good at something that someone else is getting attention for, but you're good in your own way. You're just not getting attention for that. All right, clue number three. And then something happened. Isn't this the same thing that happened with the Joker? A moment that changed how everyone saw me. A mark that would stay with me forever. Now, what's going on with the mark? Like, everybody is getting permanent marks that just changed their lives forever. So, hopefully that's giving you all a little hint on who this could be, but there's endless possibilities. Alright, clue number 4. No matter how hard I've tried, I was never seen as an equal. I was constantly reminded that I wasn't strong enough to lead, not worthy enough to rule. The throne never meant for me. Clue number 5. And then came the betrayal, not from an enemy, but from my own family. The people who were supposed to respect me pushed me aside, dismissed my ambitions, and laughed at my dreams. Those are probably the worst betrayals. Like, of course, you'll expect a betrayal from like a stranger, somebody that you're really not that close with, that you may call a friend or an associate. But for a family to betray you, like sometimes it's like that's all we have. And if they betray you, then now you don't have anything. Like, who can you trust if you can't trust your family? All right. Clue number 6. The anger, the resentment. It built up over the years. I realized that if I wanted power, I wouldn't get it through respect. I have to take it. Clue number 7. If I couldn't be loved, I'd be feared. If I couldn't win fairly, I played dirty. The world had cast me aside, so I've decided to rewrite the rules. Remember the Joker had something really similar to that when he said that people laughed at him, and so he wanted them to always laugh, but where he was controlling what they laughed at. Right, we're almost there. Clue number 8. I made an alliance with those who had been cast out, just like me. They weren't strong, but they were useful. With them by my side, I set my plan into motion. And final clue, clue number 9. And finally, I did the unthinkable. I got rid of the one standing in my way, making sure it looked like an accident. The throne was finally mine. But power, as it turns out, isn't enough. So, what do you all think that person is from the clue? As far as his or their um, mental health, they did experience inferiority complex. So they grew up in the shadow of their sibling, as you witnessed in one of the clues, constantly feeling like they wasn't good enough no matter what they did. They had narcissistic tendencies, just like Joker. They craved admiration and control. Hence, you mentioned that they wanted the throne, no matter how they were going to get it, right? They had repressed rage and trauma. So, who would not be traumatized if your family, your parents didn't look at you like you wanted them to look at you? They didn't feel love or didn't feel seen. Like everybody wants to be seen, at least by their parents. So to feel the opposite, yes, it can do something to a brain, especially a child's brain. So they experienced that, and then the resentment of I was never good enough for you, so guess what I'm gonna do, right? And then they have manipulative and psychopathic traits. So they had no remorse for betraying their family because remember, all they wanted was power. Like they didn't care who they had to take down to get that power. They wanted power. It was all about them. And they believed the ends justifies the means. So if they got the power, then it justified the killing of a family. That gotta be right. So the real question for this villain is what have been done different if parents maybe seeing this person for who they were and the good traits they did have, even if it wasn't physical strength, there's still strength in the mind. Like they could have been good with doing something else. So if the parents did something differently, I think they could have taken the parents down a different path. What if their intelligence had been valued instead of dismissed? What if they've been offered a different role in the leadership instead of being ignored? Now, leadership, there's never just one person. There's always multiple. So they didn't necessarily have to be the top dog. But if you gave them some type of responsibility, I'm sure that would have made them feel better than not nothing at all. So something to think about. Make sure you put your guesses in the comments below. And don't forget to come back next week, find out who this villain is. Then we'll proceed to the next one. Make sure you listen, subscribe to podcast on whatever podcast platform that you may listen to your favorite podcast. And remember, make sure you are staying where your mind